Okay, so today we're going deep on something I think is pretty fascinating. With the U.S. elections coming up, and
Yeah.
we're talking about Trump and Modi,
Hmm.
and specifically how those two, how their relationship could impact global politics if Trump wins a second term.
Right. Yeah.
We'll be looking at an excerpt from Trump and Modi, decoding the dynamics.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, think about it. These are two guys that have like seriously influenced everything from trade to defense to even tech.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, their decisions have like ripple effects, they impact everyone.
Totally.
Yeah.
And to understand, where things might be headed, we really need to grasp, how they operate together.
Yeah, makes sense.
So let's rewind back to like 2019. Remember that Howdy Modi rally in Houston?
Oh, yeah. How could I forget
I
that?
mean, 50,000 Indian Americans.
Huge.
Yeah, it was a huge event.
Yeah.
It felt like, the start of a powerful partnership.
It did. It really did. I mean, those optics were super important. During Trump's presidency, it seemed like they genuinely enjoyed each other's company.
Yeah, they had like that bromance thing going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, exactly. But beyond that, the personal aspect, there were strong strategic reasons for their alliance. Both saw benefits in strengthening trade, collaborating on defense, and maybe most importantly, presenting a united front against, a rising China.
Right, right. And for a while, it seemed like things were good, like smooth sailing.
Yeah,
But then 2020 happened. The U.S. elections and everything kind of shifted.
exactly. The geopolitical landscape changed. With the Biden administration came a different approach to foreign policy, and while Modi has navigated this change really well, maintaining, a good relationship with the current U.S. administration, Trump's been out there, publicly praising Modi, even calling him a great friend to America at a recent rally.
It makes you wonder, right? Like, how would their relationship actually play out if Trump gets back in office?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah, because let's face it, their partnership wasn't always perfect.
Yeah.
There were some pretty public disagreements, especially about trade.
Oh, yeah, for sure. You're absolutely right. Remember those steel tariffs? Trump's America First policy, led him to put those tariffs on Indian steel. And then Modi retaliated with tariffs on U.S. goods.
Like apples.
Yeah, exactly. Things like apples. This whole tit for tat trade war,
Yeah.
it really showed that there's potential for economic conflict between them, which could definitely, resurface if Trump comes back with that hardline stance on trade.
And what would that mean for India's tech sector? They export, what, like over $100 billion worth of stuff to the U.S. every year?
Yeah, it's huge. It's a significant chunk of their economy. And this is where things get really interesting. Especially for anyone following the tech world, Trump has been talking about fixing the H-1B visa mess if he's reelected.
Right.
And the H-1B visa program is crucial for Indian tech workers who want to work in the U.S. So any changes to that program could really impact the flow of talent and investment between the two countries.
It's like they're playing this high-stakes game of chess, making calculated moves. And then you add in the Russia-Ukraine war, and things get even more complicated.
Absolutely.
I mean, Modi's decision to stay neutral is understandable from India's point of view,
Yeah.
but it has drawn criticism from the West. And then you have Trump, who's out there praising Putin's intelligence and criticizing how Biden's handled the war.
Right.
So if we're looking at the big picture, could a Trump-Modi, team up lead to like looser restrictions on India importing Russian oil?
It's possible. It's a valid concern. And we can't forget about China either. When Trump banned TikTok,
Oh, yeah.
that resonated with Modi. He'd already banned a bunch of Chinese apps back in 2020.
Right.
So these moves, they suggest that both Trump and Modi are willing to challenge China when it comes to tech, which could lead to, what some people are calling a tech Cold War.
A tech Cold War.
Wow.
That sounds kind of scary.
Yeah, it has that ring to it, but it also shows, the common ground between them.
Right, even with all their differences.
Yeah, exactly. They both know how to appeal to populist feelings. They both have nationalist agendas, and they're not afraid to, project strength on the world stage.
You mentioned multi-alignment earlier when we were talking about Modi's foreign policy. Can you explain what that means? I think some people might not be familiar with that term.
Sure. Multi-alignment basically means that India tries to have strong relationships with a bunch of different countries, even if those countries don't always agree with each other.
Okay.
It lets India, leverage its position and pursue its own goals without depending too much on any one partner.
So if Modi's all about this multi-alignment thing, wouldn't getting closer to Trump kind of contradict that?
That's a really good question. And that's why it's so hard to predict what will happen with Trump and Modi. Modi's commitment to multi-alignment could cause friction if Trump expects him to always be on his side, especially on issues where India might prefer to stay neutral. And then you add in the fact that Trump can be unpredictable.
Right.
It makes the whole thing even more uncertain.
So we have these shared interests, like being wary of China and, the potential for working together on the economic front.
Yeah.
But then we also have these potential clashes.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
The real question is whether their interests actually align beyond just, photo ops and good vibes.
Right.
It comes down to whether their partnership can actually bring real long-term benefits to both countries, especially in a world with so many challenges.
So as we wrap up our deep dive, here's something I think everyone should be asking. Considering these shared interests, but also the potential conflicts, do you think a renewed Trump-Modi partnership would ultimately benefit or harm India's position on the global stage?
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's a really complex question, and there are no easy answers, but it's definitely something to think about as we watch how these two powerful figures, navigate the world in the coming years.
Absolutely. It's going to be interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah, it definitely will be.
Thanks for joining me today. It's been enlightening, to say the least.
My pleasure.
And to everyone listening, thanks for tuning into our deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
See ya.